Welcome to the Nutrition SoundBytes podcast, a production of UCSF Student Health and Counseling Services. I'm Jessica Jones, your host and resident student health dietitian, and this podcast will use a science-based approach to answer all of your burning nutrition questions. Our goal is to help you live your healthiest life that you actually enjoy living. Want your question featured on the next episode? Email it to jessica.jones@ucsf.edu. Now, let's get to it. This podcast question comes from Stephanie in the School of Pharmacy, and she writes, "How do I read the nutrition facts label?" Great question, Stephanie. You're definitely not alone in being confused about how to read these labels, and the truth of the matter is they are really confusing. But before we dissect nutrition facts labels, there's one important point I have to make. Foods that don't have a nutrition facts label are the healthiest options. Think about it. Fruits, veggies, dried beans, nuts, and seeds don't come in a package. There's no label to read and no health claims to make. Yet they have more fiber, vitamins, and minerals than their pre-packaged counterparts. Having said that, many of us don't have a diet of strictly whole foods, and like Stephanie, a lot of people find it difficult to navigate the nutrition facts label. In this podcast, we'll cover a step-by-step guide on how to read the nutrition facts labels and how you can become more empowered when making food choices that work for you. The first things that I recommend that people read on the nutrition facts label are the calories and serving size. That's because calories and serving size go hand in hand. For example, a bag of popcorn may contain 120 calories per serving. However, if you look at servings per container, there may be up to 5 servings per bag. This means if you eat the whole bag of popcorn, you must multiply the number of calories by 5. In this case, it would be 120 calories times 5 servings, which equals a total of 600 calories per bag. Calories are not the only factor that varies based on the serving size. Sugar, fat, cholesterol, sodium, carbs, and protein are all dependent on the number of servings per package as well. For example, if a bottle of soda contains 37 grams of sugar per serving, but there are 2.5 servings per container, you have to multiply the 37 by 2.5 to get the correct number of grams of sugar if you were to drink the whole bottle. The amount of sugar consumed quickly climbs up to 100 grams per bottle. The next thing that I recommend people look at is the percent daily values, also known as a percent DV. The percent daily value is used to determine the nutrient content of a particular serving of food. For example, if the label states that the food contains 15% iron, that's 15% of the total iron you need per day based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Percent DV can be used to determine if a food is low or high in a particular nutrient. Specifically, anything that is 5% DV or less is considered low, while anything that is 20% DV or more is considered high. Let's say you have a can of vegetable soup that contains about 37% of your daily value of sodium per serving. This means that the can of soup would be considered a high sodium food. When buying packaged foods, we want to make sure to limit saturated fat, trans fat, and sodium. Eating foods high in these items may increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. Aim for packages that contain less than 5% DV per serving of these items, especially if you have a history of high blood pressure. On the flip side, we want to maximize our intake of things like fiber, vitamins, and minerals, such as iron, vitamin A, vitamin C, and even calcium. Getting adequate calcium, for example, may decrease your risk of osteoporosis later in life, which is a disease of the bones that can lead to increased fracture risk. And a high fiber diet, for example, can help keep you regular, lower cholesterol, and may prevent certain types of cancer. Foods that contain over 20% of these nutrients are great choices. So just to recap all of the different things that we learned, number one is that you want to make sure to look at serving size and calories when you're reading the nutrition facts label. And you also want to look at percent daily value for all of the different nutrients and make sure that you're getting good amounts of fiber, vitamins, and minerals while you get lower amounts of sodium, saturated fat, and trans fat. Remember that fresh is best and always aim to eat foods that don't come in a package the majority of the time. And when you are eating foods that come in a package and have a nutrition facts label, now you are nutrition facts label literate, so making healthy food choices should be a little bit easier. And there you have it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Nutrition SoundBytes podcast. Remember, if you have a nutrition question you want answered, make sure to submit it to jessica.jones@ucsf.edu. All right, until next time, bye.